Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is Dave, and today we'll be taking a look at the iPod Touch 4th generation. And wow, this is so reflective. You can actually see my setup in it. Okay, that's cool. And this is actually one of my favorite ever iPod Touch models because it was the last classic, 3.5-inch form factor before Apple moved to a newer 4-inch design with the 4th and 5th gen. I actually have them right here, and you can see the design changes. And honestly, while these had an aluminum construction, the 4th gen felt much more premium because it had a stainless steel back, a polished stainless steel back actually, and it looked so good. Yeah, I know it would get scratched just by looking at it, but the back makes it feel so much more premium than later iPod Touches. This iPod Touch 4th gen was practically an iPhone 4. I have one right here, and yeah, it was the cheaper alternative to the iPhone 4 without cellular. Both of these had the same A4 chip, although the iPod Touch came with 256 megabytes of RAM as opposed to 512 on the iPhone 4. The camera was also a bit better on the iPhone 4, but hey, this was actually the first ever iPod to come with a selfie camera and of course with FaceTime, and that's amazing for 2010. But actually, it wasn't the first iPod to come with a camera. That was the iPod Nano 5th generation, which came just 1 year before this and had a camera. So yeah, that's your fun fact of the day. So what made this iPod so special? Well, first up, it had this beautiful Retina display, just like the iPhone 4. And when it released back in 2010, it looked stunning, like nothing else on the market. Hey, it still looks good even today with a PPI of 326. And this particular iPod Touch 4th gen is very special because it's still running iOS 5.0.1. Let me just double check. And yeah, you can see it right here, 5.0.1. Now, these iPods originally shipped with iOS 4 and went up to iOS 6. But this wide model actually came 1 year later in 2011, and it actually came pre-installed with iOS 5.0.1, so this exact software. So technically this makes it an iPod Touch 4th gen on release software, and to me that's quite special. And of course the iPod keeps prompting me to update to iOS 6.1.6, but there's no way I'm going to do that. I'll keep this on its original firmware. And yeah, I absolutely love this design. It was actually much thinner than the iPhone 4, and it felt just as premium, and just take a look at that thinness difference. And now, looking at the UI, sadly I couldn't install anything on it, but we have the, the old school YouTube app with the TV. We have the original Photos icon, the camera, and a few other apps, but nothing too interesting. But yeah, that's about it. Safari doesn't work either. You can literally only load, I think, google.com. Let me try that. Yeah, so google.com load. But if you try to go on any website or even do a simple Google search, it will simply not work. So if we Google RuneScape, for example, there you go. It says that I need to update my browser because yeah, iOS 5, the browser is just way too old for anything to run on it. The settings page is also crazy short. If you take a look at it, this is literally everything that you had. A few settings here and there, and that's about it. But if we take a look at a more modern device, just take a look at how many settings we get here. It's absolutely crazy. Take a look at all of these settings. And yeah, I mean, back in 2010, things were much simpler and I kind of miss it. But either way, the main purpose of this device still works flawlessly, and that's music. No, of course it doesn't support Spotify or Apple Music, but you can easily sync your songs over through iTunes and it works perfectly. I literally just synced this with my M4 Mac Mini and it worked just fine. You also had a built-in speaker that was usable, but of course you would use the headphone jack more often. Yeah, this sounded good enough. And if you connected this iPod to some headphones, it actually sounded a bit better than the iPhone 4. I did a few side-by-side tests and the sound is a bit warmer and better defined. Now, I'm not entirely sure if it came with a different DAC or amp as the iPhone 4, but it definitely sounds a bit better. And given that this was a dedicated music player, first and foremost, it makes sense. And honestly, I still use these iPods every single day. Because if I have a few minutes to sit down and unwind and enjoy some music once my baby falls asleep, I'll always use an iPod. Simply because I do not want to get interrupted by calls, texts, and useless notifications. Oh, your Amazon parcel is shipped. Oh, your childhood friend that you haven't talked to in 10 years posted a new story on Instagram. Oh, we have a 10% discount at your local supermarket when you buy, I don't know, washing up liquid. I don't care. I just want to enjoy my music, and this is the perfect device for it. This was also very successful because it was a much cheaper way to get into iOS than buying an iPhone. So if you wanted to get a cheap iOS device for your kid to play games or to run around at school, listen to music, this was the ideal device. I have the 8GB model here, and indeed this was a bit rough as you only had like, I don't know, 5 or 6 gigs available. Let me just double check. If we go here, yeah, so I have 2.9 used and 3.5 gigabytes used. So that makes it what, 5 to 6 gigabytes usable even when empty. So if you installed a few games, a few songs, it would be already full. But hey, it was back in 2010, and if you had one of these, you're automatically the coolest kid in your school. It didn't matter if you had the 8 or 16 gig version. You were cool. So can this device be used today? As a music player, 100% yes. And it's an amazing one too. For anything else, nah, not really. But if you're a fan of older Apple products, or if you need a dedicated music device that doesn't send you notifications every 5 seconds from a million different apps, then this is it. Or hey, if you have an older car, you can just keep it there and use it as a dedicated music player, either via the headphone jack and just connect it to your aux in, or just use Bluetooth. And if you want to pick one up today, you can find them on eBay for a good price. Or if you want a refurbished 5th generation or newer, such as this one, you can actually find them on Amazon for quite a good price as well. I've dropped the link in the description and in the pinned comment down below, so feel free to check out current pricing. And of course, if you're actually considering getting one of these, stop overthinking and just buy it. They're really not that expensive, and they're genuinely an Apple collectible that will likely increase in value over time, especially if it's in mint condition or if it's running, I don't know, iOS 5 like this particular one. But either way, let me know in the comments if you've used one of these and if you'd like me to cover any other Apple products in the future. And as always, this was Dave on Tech signing out, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!